welcome back to the College Football Tailgate. As always, it is me, XFL Jim.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the XFL!
And I am joined by the one, the only Chase Lupine Fiasco Sessoms, a.k.a. the Clemson Denier, baby. That table is Clemson. Chase is me in that video, smashing their hopes and dreams and grinding Dabo Sweeney into the dust.
Look at us color coordinated today, by the way.
I didn't even... Yeah, that was just pure chance. What's the flavor?
Gelato freeze.
Ooh. I like it.
Mostly just tastes like menthol.
We're talking ACC today, the Atlantic Coast Conference, or as I like to now name it, the All Coast Conference. It spans the country. It's another one of these nationwide conferences. They have added Cal, Stanford, and SMU to make a 17-team conference. A little wonky.
Man, with SMU, they even got the Gulf in. They got the third coast.
Yeah.
They are all coasts.
Literally every coast.
Yeah, 17 teams is super wonky, but I guess when you live in a world that's post-division to football, then, it doesn't really matter as much.
Yeah, with no divisions, it really doesn't matter how many teams you cram into the conference, whether it's an odd or even number. Again, Chase, I looked into all the lines. I have them all here on my sheet. If we're talking about tiers in the ACC, it kind of breaks down pretty nicely, I would say. Similar to other conferences, there's a couple discrepancies. Like Florida State, Clemson, Miami are kind of all in their own thing. NC State, Louisville are like their own separate tier. And then you have Virginia Tech, SMU, also like just sort of together. Then it jumps up a bit. North Carolina, Syracuse, sort of together. Georgia Tech solely on their own on an island. And then you have Cal by themselves also on an island. And then it's basically Pitt, Boston College, Wake, Virginia, Duke, and like all around 150 to 200 to 1. Stanford sits alone at 400 to 1.
Ooh, they're pretty smart kids. They're one of the few schools that don't do NIL, right?
Yeah, it's like Stanford,
Northwestern,
and the service academies.
Yeah, Stanford, Northwestern, the service academies. That sounds right. Oh, and also Clemson.
Yeah, I was gonna say also Clemson. Don't forget Clemson.
Yep,
they do it the right way there. They funnel it through a church.
And that the church puts it in an old McDonald's bag, and they just throw it through a car window. What's up, NASCAR?
Shout out NASCAR in the chat. We are here talking ACC. Chase, any takes on the conference as a whole before we just get right into this, going in alphabetical order, of course. No Erik today. He's busy dealing with some things, but we do have Erik's one sole pick for the ACC.
You made it sound like he's going to rehab or something. No, he had some stuff to do.
Yeah, he's got stuff going on.
He's got stuff to do, My overall take of the ACC is that I think, yes, we have these tiers in terms of how they're stratified with how the odds and for their future odds and everything. But I feel like it might be a more wide open conference this year than it has been in previous years, because I think Florida State is good. I have questions about them at quarterback. I think Clemson's, I've been saying for like a year now, on the way down. And, you never know what you're going to get with NC State other than, like you said, 9-3.
And you lump in Miami there. I don't know if I trust Mario.
He's not giving us a reason to trust him at all so far, right?
He really, dude, that decision last year, the not to kneel down, was one of my favorite moments of the year last year in all of college football. It was just endlessly entertaining. He gives us plenty of content to just make fun of him with.
Yeah. At the same time, they also went ham on Texas A&M last year too. Like that was
they do good. They still do good.
It's kind of like when he was at Oregon. They do pretty good. Still pretty good, but
he just kind of has to out recruit his own coaching.
That's there you go. There you go.
Are you ready to start us off, Chase? Because we have the Boston college. Eagles up first, 150-1 to win the conference, plus 15,000, with a win total set at a solid 5. The over is plus 105. The under is minus 125. Boston College was an interesting team. They returned 7 on offense, 5 on defense. The big thing for me is they get Castellanos back, their quarterback. Big running quarterback. Yep. And now, with their old head coach moving to become defensive coordinator of the Packers, they get Bill O'Brien in there as head coach. I think he can do some things with this QB. And, like, Robichaux is, like, a pretty damn good running back. I like what the offense is kind of going to be doing here.
Robichaux? That's one of my favorite names to say, Robichaux. I could see them being on the edge of making a bowl game. I think you're right. The quarterback who is dynamic coming back is big time. This is a team that had Florida State on the ropes last year. Like, don't be surprised if they jump up and get a piece of one of the big boys in the schedule.
Lemon as his preseason ended yet? I don't think so. I think there's one. This is we still got 2 more weeks of preseason, right?
I think so.
1 or 2? I don't remember. Who cares? It's preseason NFL. We're talking college. Let's get into this Boston College schedule. Speaking of Florida State on the ropes last year, Chase, they start the season with Florida State.
They don't have the benefit of catching Florida State after an emotional Clemson game like they did last year.
No, but they do catch Florida State after Florida State plays the Dublin game, right?
Oh, that is right. That is right. They do play the Dublin game. So I think that works against. I think that works against them because you're breaking in a new quarterback in a new system with DJU, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now he's got like a week under his belt to play again. Yeah, the travel to Dublin, that's a big deal, of course. But still, like at least they had a time to get their fucking sillies out, before they play BC.
I agree. That's a loss for me. But then they get Duquesne. It's not an easy schedule. So it's at Florida State, Duquesne, at Missouri, Michigan State at home, Western Kentucky at home, at Virginia.
I'm going to give them 3 wins in that stretch with Duquesne, Western Kentucky, and Virginia.
I gave them 4 wins in that stretch.
Think they get Michigan State?
I do think they get Michigan State. Michigan State's like an actual kind of rebuild. Off of the bye week, in between the 2 byes, is at Virginia Tech and then Louisville at home for homecoming.
That's 0-2.
Yeah, 0-2. I wanted to go 1-1 there, but I think both these teams are going to be pretty darn good. Off the second bye, then it's Syracuse at home, at SMU, North Carolina, and Pitt at home.
I think they'll get 2 in this stretch, and I think it's Syracuse, and I think it's Pitt.
I put question marks on mine on Syracuse, SMU, and Pitt because they played SMU. Yes, it was a bowl game, but they played SMU last year and beat them.
Right. Yeah, I'm not going to read too much into bowl games.
I'm still going to think they get 2, and that puts them at 6 for me. I got Boston College going bowling.
I've got them at 5, which puts them on the over 4.5 here. But what I'm seeing with Bet Online is a juiced up minus 150. If you think in my life that I want to bet the over on a win total on BC and sweat a minus 150 all season, you have lost your John Brown mind.
I'll sweat my plus 105. I don't care. I'll do it.
That's at least worth a sweat, though.
Up next, Chase. It is my California Golden Bears. They shine bright. New defensive coordinator, but before I get into that, plus 9,000 to win the ACC. Win total set at a solid 6, minus 105 on the over, minus 115 on the under. Soraka is out. He's done. He's moved on, but they bring in a new DC. I love what this team has on offense right now. I think Jaden Ott has the potential to be a top 2, top 3 running back in this conference. I'm a little worried about the offensive line for Cal, but I think Mendoza is going to be fine. They returned 7 overall on offense, 8 on defense. I expect the defense, it can't be as bad as it was last year. It has to improve. Justin Wilcox, for his entire tenure at Cal, has been about the defense. Last year was like a weird slip-up. The offense went crazy last year. I expect the offense to be a little bit more run focused. The offensive line coach is now the OC, so I'm expecting like lean on the run, be a little bit more conservative, help the defense. So I expect the defense to kind of improve, and I like Cal's chances.
I think that you have the advantage of a bunch of teams from the East coming across the Rockies, playing in the West, which, I mean, traditionally for us, that's a gigantic fade spot, which they have working in their corner. You have a team that should have beat Auburn last year. I'm interested to see that rematch with them going to Jordan Hare. Should have beat USC last year. Like this is no slouch of a football team by any means.
No, they had a couple weird ones there, but like they're as bad as their defense was. You know what though? They tied the lead of the FBS with like takeaways.
Sometimes the ball just bounces your way. Now you have to wonder if there's negative regression there though this year.
There might be, but I still believe the defense will improve overall. I think they'll have a stronger pass rush. I like the guys that they have at the defensive front. I like the weapons they have, and I trust Wilcox. And like you said, getting the teams that they get at home, like their toughest games to me are at home, aside from Florida State. Let's get into the Cal schedule, shall we? Starting off, UC Davis at Auburn, San Diego State, and at Florida State.
3-1.
I went conservative. I went 2-2, but I put a question mark at Auburn because honestly, I feel like Auburn, we have zero idea.
That's fair. Yeah, hard to have an idea, but yeah, I don't know. My gut tells me 3-1 here, and people are talking about Cal at this point.
In between the bye weeks, it's Miami at home, at Pitt, NC State at home for homecoming, and then Oregon State.
I'm going to go 2-2 through that stretch. I'm not sure if they knock off Miami or NC State, but they knock off one of them, and then I think they get Pitt. Or sorry, not Miami. I meant Oregon State or NC State, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I went 2-2 here as well, so I got them at 4 wins going into their second bye week, and then their season ends at Wake, Syracuse at home, Stanford at home, at SMU.
Am I crazy to think that that's 3-1?
If you're crazy, I'm insane. I went 4-0.
I've got Cal at 8-4, man.
I've got Cal at 8-4 as well. I got this Cal team at 8-4. I'm gonna take the over on the 6. It's -105. If I can find a 7.5, I'm gonna take it. If I go absolutely ham, wild, crazy, I can't. Has Cal ever won a fucking conference title in their life?
No, not even when Aaron Rodgers was there.
I was gonna say not even with Aaron Rodgers. I can't pull the 9-1 plus 9,000. I can't.
No, and I can't pull the trigger on the over 6 because that's juiced to -115.
What's Cal's odds to make the playoffs though? If they somehow get 9 wins, if we're talking shit like this, plus 750. Sorry, plus 7,500. I'm a sprinkle. Just sprinkle. I'm not saying to do it. I'm just gonna sprinkle.
Okay.
Lemon asks, is FBS all the D1 colleges? Because I'm asking, I'm new to college football. FBS, so D1 is like FBS and FCS. FBS, there's like 134 teams?
I think it's like 136 now. Yeah, there's like 136 teams. And then just the difference is FBS is those teams play in bowl games at the end of the season, and FCS, the football championship subdivision, they play in a actual like playoff format. Well, I guess both of them play in a playoff
but the
format
FCS
too,
only has playoffs.
Only has playoffs, yeah. You have teams like Montana and Montana State and other schools not from Montana. The Dakotas are big FCS schools.
All right, Chase. I think we're both over on Cal, but we can't like Chase. I don't recommend betting it because you're getting minus money.
Yeah.
Up next, perhaps the most contentious team of them all for us, the Clemson Tigers. plus 350 to win the ACC with a win total set at a square 9, minus 115 on the over, minus 105 on the under. They return 8 on offense, 2 on defense, but I have to think that if there's any team that can reload on defense, especially when it comes to conference play, it'll be the Clemson Tigers. They got some good guys up there, the defensive fronts. It all comes down, in my opinion, to if Cade Klubnik can improve and if the receivers that they're bringing in can kind of like make some waves. You're relying on young receivers, which is tough, but I saw glimpses of what Cade Klubnik can be last year, and I might be a believer.
I am not at all. I feel like they ran off DJU for Cade Klubnik, and he has been nowhere near what he's supposed to be. I understand that was his sophomore year. This is his junior year now. But with no receivers, how big of a step forward do we really expect him to take? And plus, I mean, we're looking at a school that doesn't work the transfer portal, that doesn't play with it, doesn't do NIL because Dabo sucks, I guess is the easiest way to put it. Dude, this is a nosediving program. They're a 6-6 team.
This is a very important year. If they do go 6-6, I think he either retires. I think he just retires if they go 6-6.
Think he's refired?
Yeah, I think so. Not a awful schedule, but not the best. Your 2 toughest games are both on the road. Started off, they play Georgia and App State to start the season. Georgia in Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta. They get App State right after at home.
I'm doing it. 0-2. I think App State gets them.
I went 1-1, but that's a dangerous game. App State could very well easily get them there. I went 1-1. And then
listen, you talked about the Clemson defense. I literally saw a guy on the App State defense brain one of his teammates with a helmet. You can't tell me that they're meaner than the App State defense.
God, we're all in on App State. I'm so hard for that. Off of the bye week, Chase. NC State at home, Stanford at home for homecoming, at Florida State, at Wake Forest, and Virginia.
I'll say they go 3-2 in that stretch with a win at Stanford, a win at Wake, and a win at Virginia.
I went 4-1 here. They're either going to lose to NC State or Florida State here.
You don't think both get them?
I don't think so.
At least they get NC State at home to their credit, but yeah.
Then off the next bye, it's Louisville at home, at Virginia Tech, at Pitt, the Citadel, and South Carolina.
I'll give them the win at Pitt and the Citadel. I have got them going 5-7.
I have them going 10-2.
Yeah, contentious.
This is the wild. I think this is probably the wildest discrepancy we've had with a team.
Possibly, but I mean, I feel like I'm coming from a place of logic and fact, though, when I talk about their deficiencies with how they're running their football program, right?
Oh, definitely. I just think this year they're still set up for success.
We will see. We will see.
I'm on the over here.
Too bad the under's juiced to -115. Another one I can't play.
Damn. Up next, Chase, we have the Duke Blue Devils. 200-1 plus 20,000 to win the ACC with a win total set at 5.5. Plus 140 on the over, minus 160 on the under. It's pretty easy to write a chart about what Duke lost. They lost their coach. They lost their quarterback. They lost a ton in the offseason. Still returned 5 on offense, 3 on defense, but they're doing a whole new system. It's Manny Diaz, baby. He's back in the ACC.
Yeah, and I feel like that's just a bad match for coaches. I feel like Duke, whenever they're successful, they have a coach that's on the cutting edge of offense, like Elko, like Steve Spurrier, which are the 2 times that they were good. Manny Diaz is really hard to trust. As much as I want to say that there wouldn't be any drop off, they've lost way too much for there not to be.
Yeah, I mean, especially I believe Diaz can be successful. He might be able to recruit there. The issue is right away they're going to be bad.
Right.
Like, I just don't trust them whatsoever. I don't believe in this Duke team. I don't love what they have. Jordan Moore's whatever. They have receivers, fine. But Malik Murphy is not a guy that I want to trust. Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
Not at all.
I don't. So here we go into the schedule for the Duke Blue Devils. Elon at Northwestern, UConn at Middle Tennessee, North Carolina for homecoming, and then at Georgia Tech before the first bye.
That smells like 3-3 to me. The win at Elon, the win at UConn, Middle Tennessee, and then they probably take L's to Northwestern or 2 conferences.
Yeah, I had him beating Elon, UConn, Middle Tennessee, and at Northwestern's tough. I think Northwestern's going to be a sneaky, weird place to play.
Hey, man, they were good last year, too.
I'm going to say 3-3. I could somehow... That North Carolina game might be weird, but 3-3 is what I'm going to go with. In between the byes, it's Florida State, SMU, at Miami, at NC State.
That's a 4-pack of losses there.
Yeah, I got an 0-4 stretch for him right there. And then off the bye, it's Virginia Tech and at Wake. If I'm nice...
And the win at Wake.
I was going to say, if I'm really nice, I'll give him the win at Wake.
Which I believe puts me at 4 wins, 4-8, minus 175 for their 5.5 win total.
Yeah, that's rough. That's
real rough.
I wish I could get there, but I just can't with this team this year. I cannot. Up next, it's your ACC 2023 champions, the Florida State Seminoles. Plus 290 to win the conference with a win total set at 9.5. Minus 110 both ways, Chase. Talk about what this team's losing. It's a ton. The biggest thing is switching up the quarterback. They got DJU in there, baby. Fresh off of Oregon State, the redemption tour. He's here for the Seminoles. He's back in the ACC to redeem himself. It's hard to imagine this team not taking at least a sizable step backwards.
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, they're loaded. I feel like they're loaded everywhere else because they always recruit well. They're working the portal. They do have plenty of NIL money. I think that to me, their biggest question mark is DJU. What's he going to do? Does he improve? Like he had this level of talent at Clemson and he didn't really do anything, but Oregon State, I mean, you can kind of
fine.
I mean, is he just like a caretaker? Is he just like an Eli Manning?
Maybe. I was gonna say that this reminds me a lot of those like Clemson teams when he was there. It's like he has weapons, he has players. He's just making weird mistakes.
I feel like the myth of DJU is basically built off of like 2 or 3 games whenever what's his name Sunshine was injured. Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, when Trevor Lawrence was hurt, yeah.
Yeah, like that's the myth of DJU was that he went in and he played a good game against Notre Dame.
Yep.
And now we've hung our hat on that through 3 universities.
Yes, 100%. Let's get into the schedule. Georgia Tech in Dublin. Oh, baby.
That's a dangerous game.
I
like Georgia Tech.
I like Georgia Tech a lot. That's a dangerous game for the Seminoles. Breaking in, I guess DJU is like a veteran quarterback at this point. But you're breaking
Georgia Tech still has Haynes King at quarterback, right?
Correct.
Is it crazy that in a head-to-head between quarterbacks, I take Haynes King over DJU?
I don't think it's crazy whatsoever, Chase. I don't think it's no. I like Florida State's backfield, their defensive backfield, but weird stuff happens in Ireland. I'm going to give them the win, but yeah. I'm not confident, and I will be betting Georgia Tech. Guess what? Next week, folks. This is the last weekend, this upcoming weekend, the last weekend without college football until January.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I'll start them off 2-0. I'm going to give them the win in Dublin. I think even though Georgia Tech is going to be improved again, I still don't think that they have the athletes all over the field to match up. So I'll start them off 2-0.
I'll also start them off 2-0. As an aside, can we does it feel like every year Georgia Tech's home opener is against the former ACC champion or something? Like
that sounds about right.
Every year.
Didn't they open? Didn't they
They
open
used to
with
play
Georgia?
Clemson
No.
forever.
That's right. They opened with someone real tough last year, and they made it a game, at least. But yes, that's tough. That's a tough way for them to start every year.
They opened with Louisville last year. Which
That's right.
ACC runner-up. Still, I don't know. We'll get into Georgia Tech when we do, but I have them 2-0 as well. In between the byes, they get Memphis at home, Cal at home, at SMU, and then Clemson at home before the next bye.
I'm putting them on upset alert in the Mike Norvell Bowl. Memphis, Florida State. I'm putting them on upset alert. I'm going to give them 1 L there, and then I'm going to say they rattle off 3 wins after that.
Yeah, I'm going to say... I'm going to say 3-1, but that's being awfully conservative. They could very well go 4-0 there. Next bye, at Duke, at Miami, North Carolina, at Notre Dame. That's their stretch right there. That's their meaty fucking stretch.
Yeah, it's obviously a win at Duke. It's the at Miami and at Notre Dame. They lose one of those games guaranteed. Those are both rivalry games that they're playing. Or do they get caught in the sandwich spot against North Carolina?
I'm gonna give them 3-1.
3-1. Yeah. I'm gonna say.
I don't think they lose to both.
I'm gonna go 2-2 in that stretch. I think they get the win at Duke. They're guaranteed. I think that something wonky happens with the way that this schedule lines up. So I'm gonna go 2-2 there.
And then off the bye, it's Charleston Southern and then Florida at home.
And guess what? They still win 9 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Under 9.5. Juice to -120. These prices suck on these
over
win
9.5, -110. They're still gonna be really good. Lemon asks, did you guys see the news about JJ McCarthy? Yes.
Oh, is he out for the season officially?
Meniscus, I believe.
I thought he had a chance to come back. Well, that's
I think they're just holding him off for the season, which is fine. I guess he's still young.
Probably enough. Smart. Yeah, it's tough titties for Vikings fans. That's for sure.
We'll just wait for Sam fucking Darnold, baby.
The Ghost Whisperer.
Up next, it is the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Plus 7,500 to win the conference. Win total set at 5. -110 each way. This team, feisty, Chase. Feisty is what I like to call them. 7-6 last year. Guess what? Haynes King is back, bitches. He's back. And they got 2 starters on the receiving corps back. This team's going to get somebody. They might get a couple somebodies. But the issue with Georgia Tech on every win total that we do, they always have a super tough schedule because they always play someone top in the ACC, and they always have to play Georgia.
Yeah. Isn't that a kick in the beans that you have to, especially the last game of the season, too? But, hey, they gave Georgia a fight last year. They gave Georgia all Georgia wanted. Granted, I don't think Georgia was really playing everybody by any means. The week out,
Georgia had already
the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they still played tough against, possibly, a lot of the people that they're going to be playing against this year too.
I like Brent Key. I like what he does. It's to me this all we're just super high on Haynes King. Love him.
Love him. He's a dog.
Absolute dog. Again, they play Florida State in Dublin to start the season. Week 0.
If I hadn't already given them the L Whenever we did Florida State, I might give them a sneaky W in Dublin.
I'm going to be betting that money line that on week 0. I'm just going to say that right now, but I think they probably lose for the win total purposes. So it's Florida State in Dublin, and then Georgia State at home, at Syracuse, VMI, and at Louisville.
I don't think it's unreasonable to think that they go 3-2 with wins at Georgia State, Syracuse, and VMI, and then lose to Louisville.
I don't think that's unreasonable whatsoever because that's exactly what I have them doing. In between the buys, it's Duke at UNC, Notre Dame at Virginia Tech. Brutal stretch there.
Yeah, but I'm going to call it 2-2. I think they get Duke, and I think they get North Carolina.
I think they get Duke, and then they get one of North Carolina or Virginia Tech.
That's fair.
I think Notre Dame's going to be too solid for them. And then they get Miami in between a couple other buys.
That's a great spot to play Miami at home off in between buys.
The issue with that is that I think Miami's going to have it circled because that was the dumb mistake game, wasn't it? That was the not kneel.
Yeah, that's yeah, you're right. I'll give them, you know what? Oh, we've lost Jim. I'm going to give them an L against Miami. And then when I look at it, they got NC State at Georgia. I'll be charitable and say they get a win against NC State. Where'd you go, Boo?
I don't know what happened there. Someone just got kicked out of StreamYard.
That's crazy. But I was saying that they get, I'm going to be charitable and say that they get the win against NC State, but I could see them after that Virginia Tech game not winning for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I have them going 0-3 the rest of the season.
So 1.
I got them at 2, 5, and 7.
I've got them at right at 6 and 6. Let's see.
The question is,
I found one I can play. The over 5 is plus 100. I finally got a total I can play in the ACC.
I believe in Haynes King. I believe in this Georgia Tech team. I believe in improvement. I'm going to bet the over. I have them exactly at 5.
Okay. No hook there. Might as well.
Might as well. I have the safety net. Up next, Chase, it is the Louisville Cardinals plus 750 to win the conference with a win total of 8.5, plus 120 on the over, minus 140 on the under. They lose the man, the myth, the legend, Plummer at quarterback. But they bring in Tyler Shaw. And
we'll see.
I mean, at this point, I feel like I got to trust Jeff Brom. He knows what he's doing.
I think he's where he was always supposed to be. He was a quarterback at Louisville. It just makes sense for him to be there. And hey, that was a hell of a football team that he put on the field last year. Let's go through the schedule because I think I might have big designs for Louisville. Also, it's the ultimate fuck Kentucky move to pick Louisville to win the ACC.
Let's get into this schedule. Austin Peay and Jacksonville State to start your season off.
As much as I hate to say 2-0, 2-0 there.
Yeah, 2-0 for me. Off the bye, Georgia Tech at home, at Notre Dame, SMU, at Virginia, Miami, at Boston College, at Clemson. That's a chunk of your schedule right there. It's tough.
I've got them 6-1.
Whew. I'm going to go 4-3. Yeah, I'm going to go 4-3 there for Louisville. And then off the next bye, it's at Stanford, Pitt, at Kentucky. 3-0 for me.
Jim, I've got another total to play because I've got Louisville 11-1. I've got them over 8.5 plus 130. And you know what? Dipping into these futures here, you can also give me Louisville to make the playoff and Louisville to win the conference.
What's their playoff number?
I can get it at plus 475.
I don't hate it. I'm gonna join you on the over 8.5. I got it at plus 120. I thought about sprinkling, but I just can't. New quarterback in the system. I can't bet them to win the conference.
I can and I will.
I like it, Chase. I like your chutzpah. Up next, it's the Miami Hurricanes, plus 400 to win the ACC with a win total of 9, minus 125 on the over, plus 105 on the under. The big thing for Miami is that they bring in Cam Ward, baby, from Washington State. One of the touted transfers in the portal during this last offseason. It's hard not to see the offense improving. I expect their defense to be fine to, keep it up. They have 5 returning on offense, 5 on defense, but they fill it with transfers on both sides. The schedule is fine. They have a little chunk in between their buys that's a little tough, but this Miami team's very interesting.
They are interesting, but I think you kind of hit the nail on the head earlier when we were talking about how much do you trust Mario Cristobal? I'm not sure if I trust him enough to make a run at the conference. I could see him falling 1 or 2 games short.
If the worry I have with Cristobal is if they're not blowing some of these teams out, they're gonna trip up.
Right. And they'll have a couple of losses that should have been wins.
So it's at Florida to start the season, Florida A&M, Ball State, at USF, Virginia Tech, and at Cal.
I'm going to say 4-2 in that stretch.
I feel like Miami usually at least has really hot starts. I'm going to go 5-1.
I could see them starting 4-0 and that being their hot start. But Virginia Tech's going to be tough. I'm going to give them the L there. You know what? I'm going to give them the L at Cal, too.
Thank you. Thank you, Chase.
Yeah.
In between the buys, it's at Louisville, Florida State, Duke, and at Georgia Tech.
I'm going to go L at Louisville. I'm going to go L at Florida State, and then I'll say win at Duke and win at Georgia Tech. So I'm I've got them at 6 wins now.
I got them 3-1 in this stretch, so I have them at 8 wins already. After their last bye, it's Wake Forest at Syracuse.
Yeah, I've got them at 8-4.
They're gonna fall to Syracuse or something. I got them at 9-3. The win total is 9. I actually believe 10-2 is on the table. I'm gonna take the over 9 for Miami. I'm going to have to find some more unders here because the only under I've taken so far, Chase, is Duke.
Yeah, at some point, someone's got to go under, right?
I gotta start finding unders in the latter half of this conference.
I think you got one coming up.
I think I do too. Which would be North Carolina. The North Carolina Tar Heels, baby.
Okay.
You want to
I was looking at
is State first? Is State next on your list? Is NC State next on your list, Chase? He may have froze. We're okay, folks. I think we're either doing the Wolfpack or the Tar Heels, and once Chase returns, we'll figure out which one it is. I'm just gonna go right into NC State because they're next on my list. NC State plus 650 to win the ACC. Win total is set at 8.5, minus 130 on the over, plus 110 on the under. The Wolfpack, baby. He always wins 9 games. Dave Dorn is like consistency. He is McDonald's of coaching. You know what you are getting every time you tune in to a Dave Dorn NC State season. They bring in Grayson McCall. Fun from Coastal Carolina. But this is a completely different type of offense that he's used to running. They tried a lot of stuff last year that just didn't work to start the season. Kind of brought it together. Don't overthink it, guys. It's NC State. Pretty simple. It's just don't overthink it. Let's go to the schedule. Western Carolina, Tennessee, in Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte for the Dukes Mayo Classic. Louisiana Tech at Clemson, NIU, Wake Forest, Syracuse at Cal. What a start. What a start for the season. And he's back.
There we go.
We're doing NC State, Chase.
All right, are we on to the schedule?
We were, but do you have any takes on NC State before we get into it?
No, they're always sneaky good. They're always better than I think they should be, and maybe I should take that into account this year, finally.
So, I read out through the schedule. I'll do it quickly again. Western Carolina, Tennessee and Charlotte, Louisiana Tech at Clemson, NIU at home, Wake Forest, Syracuse, and at Cal to start the season.
There's some wins in there. Western Carolina, definitely a win. Louisiana Tech, definitely a win. NIU, close but a win. Not close but a win, but a win.
I got him 5-3.
Yeah, same here. 5-3.
In between the byes, it's Stanford at home, Duke at home. That's 2-0.
Yep, 7-3.
7-3 for me, and then it's at Georgia Tech, at North Carolina. I'm gonna say
9-3, son of a bitch.
I got him 1-1. I got him 8-4. He either goes 8-4, 9-3. Those are his two things. That's just what he does. The win total is 8.5. I'm gonna go with
Juice
the under
to minus
for
150.
8. Plus
There you
110
go.
on the under, baby.
There you go.
I think he gets 8 instead of 9. This is where I will mention Erik does have a bet in the ACC. His one bet is for NC State to make the playoffs at plus 470. So Eric's high on NC State.
I don't mind it.
I don't hate it, but I was like,
I don't mind it. The ball bounces their way a couple times.
Yeah.
There's going to be a few 9-win teams. But if the ball bounces their way just a couple of times, a 10-2 team, that's a team that makes the playoff probably.
I think most 10-2 teams will make the playoffs in power conferences.
I agree. Yeah.
Up next, Chase, it is the North Carolina Tar Heels plus 3,000 to win the ACC with a win total set at 7.5, minus 115 on the over, minus 105 on the under. How long has Mac Brown been there on his second stint?
It's been a couple years now. It's getting to be about 5 or 6 years, I think,
Is
since
this year 5?
he's been back. It might be year 5.
How old is Mac Brown? Guess right now how old Mac Brown is.
He's in his 80s. He's 82.
You're about 10 years too high.
Oh, he's 72?
He's 72.
I think I went with 82 because I always refer to him as an octogenarian whenever they're pouring mayonnaise on him.
This is year 5.
Yeah. Because he's now been through the Sam Howell era, the Drake May era, and he's starting over with a new era of quarterback.
Yeah, he's starting over with the, what's the kid's name? The Connor Harrell era.
That sounds like a North Carolina quarterback.
That does. I mean, I trust them to be able to develop a quarterback. I trust Mac Brown, too. Like, just as, even though he's a CEO-style guy, I trust him.
Yeah, it's true.
They
won't win his game
a decent offense.
They'll have a decent offense. They won't win as many games as they're supposed to. Is kind of how it always breaks down, it seems.
Well, you know what, though? At least they got rid of Gene Chizik.
Thank Christ for that.
You can only improve from there. UNC, baby! At Minnesota, Charlotte, NC Central, James Madison at Duke, Pitt for homecoming, Georgia Tech.
I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to say 4 and 4. Or wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll go 4 and 3 in that stretch with Charlotte, NC, James Madison, and Duke.
I'm going to go 4 and 3 as well. In between the byes, it's at Virginia and at Florida State.
I'll give them the win at Virginia.
I'll go 1 and 1. So we got them at 5 wins, and then it's Wake Forest at Boston College, NC State. 1 and 2.
Yeah, same here.
6 wins for North Carolina. Give me
I've got
another
the same.
under.
Finally, you found. I told you when it was coming up.
Hey, I took the under on NC State too. I got to win at 8.
There we go.
We're making up for it now. Now, Chase, it is a team that I have near and dear to my heart just because I called them that one time to win the ACC. It's the Pitt Panthers. This year, though, they're plus 15,000 to win the conference, 150 to 1. Win total set at 5.5, over plus 110, under minus 130. They returned 7 on offense, 2 on defense, but you have to figure Pat Narduzzi's going to get the defense down. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
I don't know. It's been all downhill since Kenny Pickett left.
Like, they kind of have a senior-heavy sort of team. They have, like, decent receivers. They have a all-right offensive line. I don't know about Pitt, dude. This is Pitt.
Yeah. It's just, Pitt is Pitt. I don't think we can say anything other than Pitt is Pitt.
Pitt is Pitt. Kent State at Cincinnati, West Virginia, Youngstown State to start the season.
Okay, I'll go win against Kent State. At Cincinnati, I'll give them an L. I'm going to give them the win against West Virginia and the win against Youngstown State, 3 and 1.
I got them 3 and 1, but my only loss is to West Virginia, so we have the same record, just different ways of getting there. In between the byes, it's at North Carolina and then Cal.
I'll say L at North Carolina. I'll give them an L against Cal. So 0 and 2 there.
I got them 0 and 2 there as well. And then it's Syracuse off the next bye, at SMU, Virginia, Clemson, at Louisville, at Boston College. Blah.
I'll give them a win against Virginia and a win at Boston College.
Yeah, I'm going to give them 2 and 4 in that stretch as well.
Well, I think we saw it exactly the same. What's our total at here?
Their total is 5.5.
But what do we have him at?
We had him at 5.
Yeah, totals. So under 5.5, minus 140, over 5.5 would be plus 110. If I could get them up there, I could see maybe taking the over, but I can't. I can't.
The way you would say it is like you trust Narduzzi as a coach in situations. They could probably beat Cal at home, but I don't know, man. I'm not high. I don't love Pitt this year.
Me either.
Up next, it's another newcomer to the ACC, SMU, paying their way in. The Mustangs are plus 1,100 to win the conference, and I know a lot of people. They've been like a public favorite. SMU has to win the ACC. Plus 1,100 for that.
Public dog.
8.5 is the win total. Plus 120 on the over. Minus 140 on the under. The Darlings SMU. The offense is going to be good. I trust Rhett Lashley. Defense will be fine. The jump. I worry about the jump up.
Yeah, I do too. He's a Gus Malzahn product, so I should hate him, but he's also an Arkansas kid, so I kind of love him a little bit. Rhett Lashley, touchdown Rhett Lashley, as he was known on the local news. I don't know. I think this team they're going to be a high powered, potent offense. They're in a very fertile recruiting area, and they're a team that essentially they invented NIL. If you think about it, I think they're set up for success. I think that I wouldn't shame anybody for being on the public dog and taking SMU to win the conference or to make the playoff.
I don't hate the make the playoff situation. Their schedule breaks out pretty nicely. We'll know by the end of September what they are. At Nevada, HCU, BYU to start the season. They're going to be 3-0.
3-0.
And then it's TCU, Florida State at Louisville.
I'm going to say 4-2. So I think they beat TCU in the battle for the Iron Skillet on the CW. Poor bastards.
Yeah.
And I'll say they take the L at Florida State and they lose to my darling Louisville Cardinals.
Yeah, I got them 4-2 in that first stretch as well. And then it's at Stanford, at Duke, Pitt for homecoming.
3-0.
I got them 3-0. There's probably an actual decent chance they go 2-1 in that stretch. And then it's Boston College at Virginia, Cal, 1-2.
3-0. I think I've got them 10-2 here.
4. What do I have them at? 1, 2, 3. I got them at 8. Exactly 8. 8.5 for me. I'm going to take the under one at minus 140. Under 8.5 wins for SMU. I'm going to do it.
I respect it. I don't like
Up
it,
next,
but I respect it.
The Stanford Cardinal, who I recently looked up, so I had in my notes, they were plus 20,200 to win the ACC. Well, that's changed. I looked today, 400-1 to win the ACC. Are your Stanford Cardinal, baby. Win total for Stanford is set at 3.5, minus 160 on the over, plus 135 on the under. It's rough.
Was it last year that we hit Sac State on the money line against SMU or against Stanford?
You did.
Yeah.
I think I tailed you, but you called that. You definitely called that one.
I gotta, my buddy JD Fox, who was Sac State alum, actually is the one who put me onto that. I gotta give some credit there.
My big takeaways for Stanford is I think they're better than they were last year, but I don't think it matters. They're one of those teams.
That's fair.
They start the season off with TCU and Cal Poly.
1-1.
Then off the bye week, it's at Syracuse, at Clemson, Virginia Tech, at Notre Dame, SMU, Wake Forest for homecoming, at NC State. I think they get one in that stretch.
I'm going to say they go 0 for.
I'm going to give them the win against Wake Forest at home. I think that does it for them. But that's tough. And then it's Louisville, at Cal, at San Jose State. Could go 0-3 there. I'm going to give them 1.
I'm giving them the 1 for San Jose State. And you know what? That puts me on a juicy under here. Under 3.5, you can get a plus 155.
Yup. I am also on the under there with you. Also, they could, if they beat Cal, they're losing to San Jose State. And they could beat Cal. That's a weird rivalry.
That's true.
Yeah, I am all over the under here for Stanford. Up next, Chase, it is the Syracuse Orange. We are out of the Dino Babers era into the Fran Brown era, which I'm kind of hyped for. I'm getting a little excited, but I was a big Dino Babers guy there. Plus 4,500 to win the conference. Win total is set at 7, minus 120 on the over, plus 100 on the under. I think they're another public darling, this Syracuse team this year. People are really getting high on.
Well, here's what they have going. Here's what they have going for them is their schedule construction finally works in their favor. The last couple of years when they've had these 6-0 starts, they've had cupcake schedules for the first 6. Mm-hmm. And then they hit just like a murderer's row, as much of a murderer's row as ACC teams have been in the last 2 years. But they don't have that problem this year. It makes me think that maybe Syracuse could put something a little bit together. We love our Dino Babers, but still, I gotta I got to have a little faith just because of how the schedule is made up.
The schedule is made up pretty nicely. It comes down to, will Ohio State backup Kyle McCord make something happen? He wasn't even the backup, was he? He started. Yeah.
Yeah, he was starting.
Yeah.
Man, talk about some high standards. Imagine getting run out of town after that, after their season last year.
Yeah. That's a you gotta be feeling for all the Ohio State fans out there. Living a tough
I
life.
agree. Yeah.
They start the season off with Ohio and Georgia Tech.
I'll say 1-1.
I'll say 1-1 as well. We're just super high on Georgia Tech. And then it's Stanford, Holy Cross, at UNLV, at NC State. 3-1.
3-1. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Then off their next bye, it's at Pitt, Virginia Tech, at Boston College, at Cal, UConn, Miami.
I'm going to give them the win at Pitt. I'll give them the win at Boston College, and I'll give them a win with UConn.
I have them going 2-4.
I've got a 7-5 Syracuse team.
I also have a 7-5 Syracuse team.
Good enough to be bowling, not good enough to hit the over 7.5 at plus 130.
No.
Definitely not worth touching under 7.5 at minus 160.
I got under at plus 100. I'm going to take the under 7 at plus 100. I do believe there is a shot that this can kind of like fall apart. The Syracuse bones are still there. The late season collapse is still on the table.
Yeah, totally.
And like it sucks to get games like Boston College and Cal on the road because I think those are winnable games, but on the road is tough.
Yeah, agree.
Up next, Chase, the Virginia Cavaliers, the Who's, plus 20,201 to win the ACC. Win total is set at 4.5. With plus 100 on the over, minus 120 on the under. This Virginia team, dude, I don't know. Tony Elliott, I like what he's doing, but this has been a hell of a rebuild. They're in a rough spot.
They're in a rough spot. They had a tragedy that they're having to rebuild around. It's, man, I can't.
It's rough.
It's hard. It's hard to see anything good for Virginia at all, really.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's just short and sweet. Let's get to the schedule. Richmond at Wake, Maryland at Coastal.
I'll give them 2, Richmond and Coastal. They have the unfortunate luck of catching September, Maryland.
Yep, I gave them 2 and 2 there as well. And then in between the byes, it's Boston College, Louisville at Clemson, North Carolina.
What conference? Oh, I was thinking Maryland's in the ACC. Of course, they're in the Big Ten. Okay.
Of course you think that because they fit so well in the ACC.
Yeah, because they're on the Atlantic coast. I'll say 0-4 in that stretch.
I went 0-4 as well. And then off that bye, it's at Pitt, at Notre Dame, SMU, at Virginia Tech. This is a shit schedule.
0-4, 2-10.
I got this team at 2-10. I'm taking the under 4.5 at minus 120.
Yeah, under minus 115 at under 4.5. I am not touching.
Meanwhile, we go to the Virginia Tech Hokies, plus 1,000 to win the conference. 8.5 is the win total, plus 105 on the over, minus 125 on the under. First things first, the schedule is cake. The schedule is very nice for Virginia Tech.
Their schedule is a butt?
It's a butt.
It's a butt because it's cake, get it?
I like that. Kyron Drones.
Mm-hmm.
Are we part of the drone army? He's good, dude.
Good. I am. I didn't believe in him last year, and he made a fool out of me with a couple of bets where playing fade Virginia Tech at the beginning of the season, and then he really started to figure it out. I think he's really going to take off in year 2 as the starter.
The big thing for me is the schedule. I might bet them just to make the ACC championship game. Just be based off this schedule alone. So it's at Vanderbilt, Marshall, at ODU, Rutgers, at Miami, at Stanford. If I want to be concerned, I'll give them 1 loss.
5-1. I got them the same, and I think it's probably at Miami.
It's either at Miami or Stanford the next week. Stanford would be that. I'm going to be betting Stanford that week. In between the buys, it's Boston College, Georgia Tech, at Syracuse, and Clemson. 3-1.
Win at Boston College. I'll say Georgia Tech gets them. I'll give them the win at Syracuse and the win at Clemson.
So we both have them 3-1 in that stretch, and then off the bye, it's Duke and Virginia, 2-0.
2-0. Son of a bitch,
do
we have them 10-2?
I got this. We got this team at 10-2. What's Virginia Tech to make the playoffs?
I don't know.
8-1 plus 800. You know what? I'll take a shot on that.
It's a good play. I think it's
all
a good
they
play.
have to do, they're plus 1,000 to win the conference. I would take 8-1 over that. I'd probably just bet the plus 800 because they could easily go if they just upset one of Miami or Clemson. They could easily go 11-1, and then they're going to the playoffs. You're not keeping an 11-1 Power 4 team out of the playoffs, even with this cake-ass schedule.
No, you're not. There's no way.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet. Yeah, I'll bet Virginia Tech to make the playoffs at plus 800.
You know what? I might join you on that. I think I am. Yeah, you talked me into it as well. I'm gonna join you with that with Virginia Tech to make the playoff.
Very nice. Last but certainly not least, it's a team that I've loved for a while, but they've been in dire straits recently. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons, plus 20,000, 200-1 to win the ACC with the win total set at 4.5. Minus 160 on the over, plus 135 on the under. Chase, it's rough times in Wake Forest. They're losing players left and right. You know who they got at quarterback?
Who?
Hank Bachmeier. He's still around.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate for everyone involved. Just can you think of wait. Can you think of any quarterback over the last 3 or 4 years that you trust less than Hank Bachmeier? And if you do, I want names.
He's up there. If you do all the cumulative, the accumulated everything, he's in the top 3 of ones I trust the least.
I think it's a fair assessment.
Jeff Sims, I probably trust less.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Yeah,
that was personal.
Yeah. I feel you.
It's either Bachmeier or Michael Kern. Both are their 6th year of eligibility. They have old as shit quarterbacks. The thing is, if I do trust one coach to get the most out of a quarterback, like Hank Bachmeier, I do trust Clawson. I do trust him. I trust Dave Clawson to make it work. The style of offense that Wake Forest runs is weird and very entertaining to me. But I don't know.
Oh, because they do the moving
veer.
mesh.
It's the veer mesh or something like that. Yeah.
Where the mesh goes on for a day and a half before someone finally pulls the ball or runs with it and makes a fucking decision.
Weird.
It's so hard to watch. It's so difficult to watch.
It's so weird.
I hate that I just used the word mesh because that's one of my least favorite words in college football.
RPO might be one of mine.
I don't mind RPO because it's just.
I feel like everyone runs an RPO though. I feel like that's just everyone's offense is RPO based.
We can stop making a big deal about people running the RPO. Basically,
yeah.
I hate mesh as a term, and I hate the term complementary football.
Ooh,
the worst.
Of course, you want to play complementary football. Who doesn't want to play jeez. Yeah, you got me on it now too.
Yeah, dude. Fuck that shit.
Let's get to this Wake Forest schedule. North Carolina A&T, Virginia, Ole Miss. I got them at 2-1.
I'll go 2-1 also.
in between buys, they get Louisiana at home, at NC State, Clemson, at UConn, and at Stanford.
I think they go 2-3 in that stretch.
I also think they go 2-3. We got them at 4, Chase. We're already almost at the win total. And then off the bye, it's Cal, at North Carolina, at Miami, and then Duke. I think they can get 1.
I'm going to say they go 0-4.
You going to take the under?
What's the total at?
4.5?
Yeah, I'm going to take the under. 125.
That'll do it, Chase. I think I did not pick a team to win the conference. If I'm picking a team, this was a rough one to do.
I think it's Virginia Tech for you, man.
It might be Virginia Tech at 10-1.
Keeps you off the public dog of SMU.
I like Virginia Tech plus 800 to win to make the playoffs way more. So I'll take that as that bet to win the conference. You know what? Fuck it. I'm a homer. Homer pick Cal plus 9,000. I don't care. They have the offensive capability, the weirdness. This is a weird new ACC. Give me a weird new Cal to get the win at plus 9,000.
Love it. I absolutely love it. That means I get to look forward. I cannot wait for 13 straight weeks, 14 straight weeks of you picking Cal.
Yes, every week.
Every single week. I love it.
Week.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
Chase, this has been the ACC preview. This will be an interesting conference. I'm excited for the ACC this season. As far as like the future goes, we don't know. I don't know if there'll be an ACC here in 5 years.
I don't know. I think they get absorbed somehow. Do you want me to rattle through my bets here?
Give them to me, baby.
All right. We got Georgia Tech over 5 wins at plus 100. We got Louisville over 8.5 wins at plus 130. We got Louisville to make the playoff at plus 475. Louisville to win the conference at plus 775. Stanford under 3.5 at plus 155. Over 8.5 for Virginia Tech at plus 120. Virginia Tech to make the playoff at plus 900. And Wake Forest under 4.5 at plus 125.
My bets are the ones that I recommend to people. I'm betting every team, but Boston College over 5 wins plus 105. Louisville over 8.5 at plus 120. NC State under 8.5 plus 110. Stanford under 3.5 plus 135. Syracuse under 7 plus 100. And then Cal to win the conference at plus 9,000. And the Virginia Tech Hokies to make the playoffs at plus 900. Boom. That's the ACC, people. Stay tuned. Next week's a doubleheader. We got Big Ten and SEC coming for you. This has been the College Football Tailgate. That is Chase Lupine Fiasco Sessoms. Find him everywhere at Of Oaklawn. Find me at XFL Jim. Find Uncle Rico everywhere at eTop21 Sports. We love you guys. We'll see you next time.